welcome to the meeting of the Plain Township Board of Trustees. Will everybody stand and join us in saying the pledge of allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The agenda is before us. First, is there any additions or deletions by fellow board members or staff?
Yes, Mr. President, I have an addition under the Sheriff's Report, which is Summer Chase Road in Wellington Woods.
Any others?
Yes, sir. I have a zoning number 4, which will be a request to withdraw zoning amendment number 554-13.
Which one was that?
554-13.
Okay, anything else? The agenda will stand then with the 2 additions. The first order of business is the Sheriff's Report. Lisa, you have one item.
Yes, I have an item that Mr. Haas sent to me and asked to have added to the agenda this evening. And I have discussed already with our detective this issue on Summer Chase Road in Wellington Woods. The first issue is speeding, especially in the mornings, and it is coming off Fenwick. When you go down the slight downhill there, around the curves. So speeding, pointed out especially when the school buses are coming through the neighborhood. So we've already talked about getting extra patrols all through that neighborhood. And then the second concern is that there's an access road to an oil gas pump that runs on the east side of the property there. And to the east of that access road is basically marshy land. And there, the neighbors and the owner of the home there has talked with the employees of an oil and gas company that services that pump. And for a while there was a gate that was locked. Well, now the gate is gone. So people are dumping pretty heavily back there. Tires, trash, anything that you can think of is being dumped back there. So not only is that area of marsh, now there's going to be an issue with rodents. Right now you can't see everything that's dumped, but when the brush dies down in the winter, you're going to look back in that neighborhood and see all of that. So I've talked to Joe, who is going to look into posting, if once we find out the owner of that property, a no dumping sign on behalf of the Plain Township Trustees for Ohio Revised Code. I've given a copy to Denny, who's going to look up the owner of the property that owns that, who may not know that's happening, whose responsibility will be to clean that up. And I've also talked to Detective Koenig, who is going to patrol and actively root out who may be dumping. So I think we're on both of these issues pretty heavily. And that's all I have for the Sheriff's Report.
Yeah, it's not
Yeah, and I can pass these down so you guys can each have a printed copy of that. I have it for myself.
What exactly can dump, do we know?
And there it talks about tires, which you know is bad because it does hold water, so you have an issue with that. I can't remember off the top of my head what else she talks about that's...
Well, there seems to be an issue with these tires, because they're dumping these
behind
pretty
Oakwood.
consistently. I mean, somebody has to be selling tires and taking old ones and disposing of them the easy way. You can tell by the look at your face, you might have an idea.
Possibly.
Okay.
I think I need to call the health department and look at it too to see if it's hazardous waste.
Yeah, Denny and I had talked, and he was going to do that. So that was part of that plan also. And possibly in our next newsletter, we can talk about where tires can be brought to throughout Stark County. There are locations that will take so many tires a month. However, if it's a business, they're going to exceed that.
I thought it was one.
Yeah,
The town.
They went out of business, but we do have a place where we can take so many a year.
And that's through the Joint Solid Waste District, isn't it, through that initiative?
Yeah, and then there's certain businesses that will take so many a month. So I can research that a little more, put it on the website. But again, if it's a business who's doing it, they will exceed that. So,
I'm sure we keep Plain Township clean, so we don't
Yes.
have anybody reason to.
yes.
Yes. Okay, does anybody in the audience have any concerns for the sheriff's office at this point? Okay, then we'll close the sheriff's report. We'll go to the detective's report.
Good evening, everyone. Should have before you the August stats for our calls for service, kind of increased from July a bit, 854 calls for service. Our crash reports, both with injury and typical crash reports, were down. I think last month we had 57, we were down to 53 for August. We had 22 crashes with injury. For August, we were down to 12, so we cut that by 10. 88 alarms that we responded to, and had 160 traffic stops, 94 citations. Arrests were up by 20 from July, 59 arrests. Those include 33 summons and 26 bookings.
As far as with respect to crash activity, I believe last month was noted two of those actually were DUI, OVI, so none of this activity had any of that.
Not that I'm aware of, no. Because they were down quite a bit, quite substantially.
As far as the spike, just in the calls for overall service, is there anything specific that can be attributed to nice weather?
It was August, yeah, I mean, usually June, July, August, our calls are typically going to be higher, with Hall of Fame being at the beginning of the month. You know, there's usually, I think the trend you'll see is June and July and August will typically be higher. There'll be a spike somewhere in the summertime, and then the calls for service will start to taper down the colder it gets. But it gives our unit, you know, I'm surprised that the numbers were, you know, almost 120 calls more, but with the, you know, we had that many calls, but our crash reports were down, our alarms were down, which gave us more time to do, you know, to increase our presence in traffic control. And I think if you got cars going out, running traffic, you know, especially speeders, you're not going to have as many crashes. So we were quite a few more traffic stops, almost 22 more citations. So
Increased visibility also.
when you have increased visibility, yeah, that's gonna bring that number down, I believe.
Anybody have any questions for David? Very nice. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Keep up the great work.
All right, thanks.
All right, we will go now to the fiscal officer report.
Thank you, Mr. President. Item number 1 on the agenda for fiscal office is a request for a resolution by the Plain Township Board of Trustees, Stark County, Ohio, to authorize the payment of pending warrants in an amount of $1,055,947.03 is attached here to make part of the minutes.
Also move.
Second, any discussion? Hearing none, roll call please.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Mr. Geovasis?
Yes.
Mr. Lino?
Yes.
Discussion number 2 is a request for a resolution by the Plain Township Board of Trustees, Stark County, Ohio, to authorize the payment of the regular payroll in an amount not to exceed $220,000.
So moved.
Second, discussion? Hearing none, roll call please.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Mr. Geovasis?
Yes.
Mr. Lino?
Yes.
Fiscal officer number 3 is a request for a resolution by the Plain Township Board of Trustees, Stark County, Ohio, to authorize the following medical claims as provided by Health Care.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, roll call please.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Mr. Geovasis?
Yes.
Mr. Lino?
Yes.
Fiscal officer number 4 is the financial report.
Anybody has any questions with Mr. Flex? Go to number 5.
Fiscal officer number 5 is a request for a resolution by the Plain Township Board of Trustees, Stark County, Ohio, to authorize a refund as follows for overpayments for emergency medical services.
So move.
Second.
Discussion? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Mr. Haas?
Yes.
Mr. Lino?
Yes.
Mr. Geovasis?
Yes.
Fiscal officer number 6 is a request for a resolution by the Plain Township Board of Trustees, Stark County, Ohio, to authorize the following transfers.
So moved.
Second. Any discussion? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Mr. Haas?
Yes.
Mr. Lino?
Yes.
Mr. Geovasis?
Yes.
Fiscal officer number 7, it's a request for a resolution by the Plain Township Board of Trustees, Stark County, Ohio, to authorize the release of insurance proceeds being retained for a loss of fire on February 18th of 2013 at 717 Grove Street, in an amount of $19,240 to be made payable to Design Restoration, as authorized by Fire Captain Troy Stegall.
So moved.
Second. Any discussion? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Mr. Haas?
Yes.
Mr. Lino?
Yes.
Mr. Geovasis?
Yes.
Concludes fiscal officer.
Thank you, Mr. Flex. We will go to Administrator's report, Mrs. Campbell.
Thank you. Item number 1 is notification that drug-free workplace mandatory training will be held on October 3rd of 2013, and then department head supervisor training will be October 10th, 2013. Item number 2 is a resolution authorizing myself to prepare and submit an application to participate in the OPWC State Capital Improvement and/or local transportation improvement programs. This is for the Linford project, and also for Board President Lou Geovasis to enter into any agreements as may be necessary for obtaining this financial assistance.
Also moved.
Second. Any discussion? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Mr. Geovasis?
Yes.
Mr. Haas?
Yes.
Mr. Lino?
Yes.
Item number 3 is a resolution to authorize the purchase and installation of the new electrical service poles and an LED light for Alpine Park from Abbott Electric. This includes all the permits also.
Also move on Administrator.
I will second. Any discussion?
Just as a point of clarification on the poles, the one is a new one for that north lot,
Yes.
which is currently unlit, but the second one is to replace the existing pole for the electrical services hanging extremely low.
Low, in a very precarious situation, yes. And also as clarification, just to know where the new pole will go to, it will now be lit, but Mr. Haas did talk to the residents in the neighborhood about lighting the new light, and they were happy with it and had no complaints about the type of lighting going in that area that would affect their homes.
Well, it's going to improve the safety and security
Yes.
over there. It's going to help
Yes.
the officers at the end of the line.
Yes.
Instead of going back into the totally dark lot.
Yes.
Okay, no further discussion, roll call.
Mr. Lino?
Yes.
Mr. Haas?
Yes.
Mr. Geovasis?
Yes.
And so ends the administrator report.
Thank you, Mrs. Campbell. We will go to the fire department report. Chief Schneider.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, item number 1 is the monthly report.
Chief, just as a quick question based upon an article in today's repository that was noting about city of Camden, their safety forces down there. Have we seen any of that really impact us at all? Because looking at these numbers, it doesn't appear anything's out of alignment since they've contacted with the private ambulance service. I'm just curious if
We just actually responded just the other day to cancel this shortly after we started the response. They had a structure fire, which they always have an EMS vehicle present at their fires, so we responded with our EMS vehicles that way, but before they even really got on the station, they were canceled. So, some of those calls, I know it shows 9 this past month, but I know some of those were canceled. And I think one or two of those are going to be Hall of Fame related also.
Well, since you've met with the fire chief over there, it seemed like the disparity has been rectified.
With their private ambulance service, they have first call, and it's been cut significantly.
Okay. Anybody has any further questions for the chief on the report? Go to number 2, chief.
Item number 2 is a resolution to purchase from Fire Gear Lockers and Grid Gear Corporation for attached quote. And again, this will be going into the new station. The lockers that we're purchasing will match the current lockers we have over our Station 3, which we're actually going to be pulling some of those lockers out. So we're going to be pulling half those lockers out. So we're saving about $7,000 or $8,000 by utilizing some other lockers we currently have also. So overall, we're trying to save as where we can with that. So these will match the lockers that we currently are going to be pulling out of another station.
Also move.
I'll second it.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Mr. Geovasis?
Yes.
Mr. Haas?
Yes.
Mr. Lino?
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you, chief. We'll go to road department report. Mr. Garcia.
Mr. Chairman, item number 1 is the monthly report for August.
Any questions? New surfaces and stuff, Joe, look good. That new application is working out pretty good.
Actually, there's almost no indication of any sequences if you go down those streets, and it was
Tighter, it's a tighter
Yeah.
mix.
On the one road, you got that one issue rectified back there on Boulder Creek.
Yeah, we're tighter.
Other than that, I think everything else was fantastic.
Item number 2 is a resolution to authorizing the posting of temporary no parking signs on the north side of Diamond Street, Middle Branch to Diamond Park Street, and Middle Branch from Diamond to Prospect.
Go ahead.
also move on Road 2.
Second. Any discussion? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Mr. Haas?
Yes.
Mr. Lino?
Yes.
Mr. Geovasis?
Yes.
Item number 3 is a resolution authorizing posting of temporary no parking in the Diamond Park allotment on all the listed streets. This is for the Bothwell Cup in October.
Also move.
Second. Any discussion? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Mr. Haas?
Yes.
Mr. Lino?
Yes.
Mr. Geovasis?
Yes.
Number 4 is a resolution, amend the resolution 13-439 passed on July 23rd for the Plain Township pavement marking program to Oglesby Construction for $140.99.
So moved.
Second. Any discussion? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Mr. Lino?
Yes.
Mr. Geovasis?
Yes.
Mr. Haas?
Yes.
And item number 5 is to authorize the purchase of limestone for the Mark Court project, which is starting tomorrow from National Lime and Stone.
So moved.
Second. Discussion, Joe. The limestone, is that to build up the base that was on the edge?
The county's coming in tomorrow, they're gonna straighten the ditch out and realign everything. They're gonna put dirt on the roadside. We're gonna cover it with big limestone so we don't have that erosion. And this way it'll move it farther off the road, the bank, and then we're gonna put the dirt on. The county's machine was down for the last couple of weeks.
How did everything go with the movement of the gas and the water?
Gas line's been abandoned and water line's been,
They abandoned the gas line?
yeah, they moved it, so they
Okay.
rerouted it, so it's all done.
Oh, perfect.
Joe, just as a note, it's not on here, but how's the bridge at 55th? Coming along over, I saw they were pouring concrete on Friday over
I
there.
haven't talked to the county about it, but it was pretty slow. It's really going slow.
I talked to Keith out at the county fair, and he said those pylons were only supposed to originally be planned for 55 feet, and ended up having to take them down about 100
Yeah.
feet because of the amount of water. So I was just curious if they gave any indication.
I haven't talked to them about it, I'll give them a call this week. I'll ask them.
Yeah, but they're gonna have a lot of earth that's gonna move over there to get that.
There's a lot of work to be done. That project will
I didn't say anything. I didn't say anything.
I hope to drought again, just to prove a point.
Then you'll have followers.
Yeah, the almanacs, we were Roll call, please.
Mr. Lino?
Yes.
Mr. Geovasis?
Yes.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Let's go to the zoning department.
Item number 1, gentlemen, is the monthly report to the department.
Residential permits
During the course of the year, yeah.
for the course of the year.
Yeah, we're doing well.
Danny, just out of curiosity, do you know what that was at the same time last year? Approximately.
I believe it was in around 40, 30, upper 30s, 40. We've done well this year.
You know, close to 47% increase.
Yes. It's a good sign. Okay, go number 2.
Okay, zoning number 2, we have 2 nuisance abatements before you this evening.
Also move on zoning 2A and B.
Second those. Any discussion? None, roll call, please.
Mr. Lino?
Yes.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Mr. Geovasis?
Yes.
Okay, number 3, we have 20 nuisance payments.
Also move on zoning 3A through T.
I will second those. Any discussion?
We cut it off there, so we're out of letters, just so you know.
So we start seeing double A,
Yes.
AB, AC.
I think one time we did see double letters. Okay, no further discussion, roll call, please.
Mr. Lino?
Yes.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Mr. Geovasis?
Yes.
Thank you. And zoning number 4. I would like to pass each of you a letter we received this afternoon. And I will read this. It's dated September 10th, 2013, to Denny Falk, Plain Township Planning, Zoning and Development Director, 2600 Easton Street Northeast, Canton, Ohio, 44721, regarding a request for withdrawal of First Christian Church rezoning. Dear Denny, McKinley Development Company Limited is requesting to withdraw the proposed rezoning of approximately 114 acres surrounding First Christian Church from the Plain Township Trustee Meeting Agenda, September 24, 2013. Over the past several weeks, we have been working with our land planner and engineer to incorporate many of the changes we heard from you, the trustees, and the surrounding community. When we have completed our revisions, we will be resubmitting our new plan for rezoning. We will keep you apprised of our new schedule once it has been determined. If you have any questions, please do not hesitate to contact me at 330-499-8153. Thank you sincerely, and this is signed by Beth Borda, who is the Senior Director of Commercial Development for McKinney Development. And then we'll also ask you a copy of a resolution.
You wanted anything?
Yes, he's got one. And the resolution reads, be it hereby resolved by the Plain Township Board of Trustees, Stark County, Ohio, to accept McKinley Development Limited request to withdraw zoning amendment number 554-113. Be it further resolved that the public hearing set for September 24th, 2013 at 7 p.m. at the Plain Local High School Theater be canceled.
Also move on zoning number 4.
I will second. Discussion.
Just as a point of discussion, I know we had moved our Board of Trustees meeting to that same venue at 5:30 in anticipation of this forthcoming Do we want to?
I will do, yes,
Cancel the school and then move the meeting back
to the normal time.
here?
I'll ask that Mr. Falk cancels with the theater, but I will do a press release first thing in the morning to reschedule the meeting, to also with the cancellation, but put our meeting back at the regularly scheduled time. I'll put a notice on the door, I'll put it on Facebook, on Twitter, on our website.
We'll also, we'll put one out, cancel the public hearing. You
Yes.
want to do the meeting, we'll do the public hearing.
Yeah, I'll do the meeting, you take the, yeah.
Gotcha.
Well, we'll do a combined press release.
All right, we'll talk to you in the morning.
Yes.
As far as outside of that, given that this has been withdrawn, no different than the residents that have property that immediately butts that property, get a notification of a public hearing, will they also get a letter on the cancellation of this public hearing, or will we be relying on them to catch it either through paper, social media?
I think media, and there are a couple of prime people that I believe I'll contact, and I would be pretty certain that the world will know.
Yeah, I'm certain the world will know, but I think that we probably should send notification because of the,
So I prefer, I mean, for the small expense it is,
I would,
so
yes.
of a letter.
Yes, they got a letter mailed about the hearing when it started. I think it's only fair to send out a letter.
I think they should be notified.
Okay,
So that way they know.
the original letter, the original mail letter notification of the meeting was certified mail.
Well, we don't need to send it certified, we can send it regular mail.
Regular mail.
All right,
Just send it regular mail.
okay, we'll take care of that.
Yeah.
And
If no further discussion, roll call, please.
Mr. Lino?
Yes.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Mr. Geovasis?
Yes.
thank you, gentlemen, that concludes the zoning report for tonight.
Thank you. Let's go to Parks and Facilities.
Parks and Facilities, number 1 is the monthly report.
The lot there at the end of the diamond looks good, so thanks to the both Parks and Road Department for
Yes, the
getting that
road crew did an excellent job.
cut in over there. Have we opened it up for use yet? I know I was over by there Friday or Saturday.
I still have it blocked because I'm waiting for a good couple rains to get everything in there and get it settled.
Okay.
I do have it striped, so it's ready to be open. Probably this weekend I'll open it.
That's, the people live on that end of the park because of all the dust and everything. We'll be grateful that that's
Be tampered down.
It was rolled. It was
Yeah.
rolled many times. It's asphalt grinding, so they won't get a lot of dust.
No, I said from the past, they'll be glad that with the cars going in and out of there, that'll tamper down the dust
Yes, it will.
coming from that end of the park.
That is him all.
Your yard sale looks like it went well. What is that? Christopher.
It's an excellent report.
Yes, very nice.
Thank you. Thanks to Joyce too, that puts it all together for me.
Okay, let's go to number 2.
Okay, number 2 is a resolution. Be it hereby resolved by the Plain Township Board of Trustees, Stark County, Ohio, to accept the attached one-year advertising agreement from Stryker Soccer Club.
Also move on Parks number 2, Parks and Facilities number 2.
I will second that. Any discussion? Hearing none, roll call,
Mr.
please.
Lino?
Yes.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Mr. Geovasis?
Yes. Thank you, Derek.
Well,
Go to Parks Programming. Mr. Timer?
Number 1, gentlemen, is the monthly report for programming and community outreach.
Hold a few meetings, did you?
1 or 2.
Nice job on securing the donation too for the dog park.
That was a team effort. Derek and Josie and that. He was a resident expert, and they worked well together, so I just took the call.
Nice work, guys.
thank you.
Okay, let's go to number 2.
Number 2 is just an update on actually 2 new events. We are in current conversation with Canton Parks and Stark Parks about putting together a collaborative 2014 fall harvest. It's in the very early stages of discussion, but talk is kind of having a collaborative effort work along the trails between Spangler and Schneider and all things in between to give us an event at that time of year to kind of enhance the beauty of the parks and draw to all of them. The second one is a July 2014 Hall of Fame lacrosse tournament. It will be a national tournament. We're working on that right now with Jim and Jennifer Davis in the early stages of planning. Oh, and in February of 2014, we have a chance to host the National ASA Umpires Clinic and Hall of Fame dinner here in the township. Roughly 200 people from all over the country will be here if we can get it worked out.
Any idea where venue we're looking at?
We're going to do it primarily in the Diamond Indoor. We'll hopefully book the hotels on the hill, and we'll worry about banquet facilities as we get closer.
Perfect.
Fish town, some cars, you want to see.
Anybody got anything else? Okay, go to communications. Nice job, Ron. Very nice report.
Communications, thank you. Item number 1 is a thank you to our Chief, John Snyder, from Fire Chief from Perry, Mark Martin, who wanted to take this opportunity to express his appreciation for Chief Snyder's department's response at the structure fire on August 20th, 2013 at 5048 Yukon Street Northwest in Perry Township. While the structure itself was a total loss, your assistance was critical in protecting the structures located with close proximity of the fire building. Those exposures were untouched by fire, and that is a direct result of your department's cooperation and professionalism. So thank you, Chief, if you could pass that along. The second is a letter from Gordon Powell, who is the president of the Northeast Developmental Services Incorporated. And the letter is to Joe Icino, Derek Edinger, and to Paul, who is our highway foreman. And it states, I wanted to take the time to send my personal thanks for all of your help with the equipment for the dedication of the Jack J. Calhoun Jr. Memorial Field. You guys went above and beyond in the assistance you offered, and we appreciate it so much. The dedication was an amazing success, as everyone had a great time celebrating the life of a man who did so much for everyone in attendance. We enjoyed each other's company, ate, danced, and most importantly, played ball. There were countless smiles that day, and we appreciate the part you played in making that happen. We look forward to many years of playing baseball and spending time with friends. Thanks again, Mr. Powell. Very nice. And Joe, Derek, if you could pass that along to everybody who helped you with that. Thank you.
Also, but everyone, Mr. Lino had
Mr. Lino, thank you. Those folks also called the township offices and expressed their sincere gratitude for the hand that the township lent, and that it meant so very much to them. So thank you. The last is just a notification that the Nimishillen Creek Leap will be Saturday, September 21st, beginning at 9 a.m. at Thurman Munson Memorial Stadium in Canton. And again, that's held yearly. We'll put this on Facebook and Twitter for anybody who is interested in helping to clean up the Nimishillen Creek. And that's the end of communications.
Thank you, Lisa. Let's go to public speaks. If anybody in the audience at this time has anything they would like to bring to the attention of the board, you may do so at this time. Just give your name and address to the municipal officer, and once he gets that, gives you a nod, that's okay. We do have a 3-minute rule, so.
Yeah, my name is Dan Rozier, 6228 Melody Road. I was here last time about the barking dog ordinance. My wife was going to bring some videos in on the camera. We have them. I would first like to say, I brought up that my dogs was gone. I got cited anyway by a deputy. I respect Deputy Gardner as a person, as an officer. If he still contends he saw him, I'll go with that. If that's what he says, I believe him. But she has videos here with the neighbors, dogs barking and ours are not. They're all long videos, if you guys like to watch, maybe 30 seconds each one of them. I imagine she'll have to walk up there for you guys to see them on a smartphone, but.
Well, what we'll do is because the person that'll be the end of that, let the record reflect that the video is going to be shown to the township detective.
No, we got like 6 of them this last
Well,
5 or 6
and
days.
to clarify, is this from the incident in question?
No, no, no.
Or these are just
These
separate
are just to show you I'm being
videos?
targeted. My dogs are not barking. The rest of the neighborhood's barking. My dog's just laying there, and yet I'm the one that's getting in trouble for it. Nothing's ever, the one video has actually got his own dog barking. And he's running around and he's barking, and he's in there having a cold beverage, not saying a word to it. If my dog barks, I get the police called on me. That's what it is. This change that he did was based on lies. I got 6 of the closest neighbors and a map of my house, overhead view. I got 3 from the north, 1 from the northwest. 3 properties right across the street from me is vacant. 2 from the south, or 2 from the southwest. All signed papers say my dogs don't bark and they don't bother me at all. And yet him says constantly my dogs bark 24/7, 365 days a year. If I barked that much, I'd have more than 3 citations in 2.5 years. But every time I get a citation, the price goes up. Nobody else's is. Nobody dogs are. And she has it on there, my dogs are laying there not even barking, and everybody else's is, including his own. That's what I said I'd bring down today. It's not an argument over the last thing. I do believe that this ordinance was changed wrongly. I'm the one that had the bark collars on their dogs. I still got bark collars on their dogs. They just, you'll see them running around, but they know not to bark. I just believe I'm being targeted. I just went to a show last Friday. My wife went to a show last Friday. Where both my dogs won the grand champion and champion class. They're very well behaved dogs. Now if they haven't, I'm not telling you they're perfect. I've told you before, when a deer comes in the yard, they're going to bark. If a groundhog comes flying through the yard, they're going to bark. But even the kids next door neighbor parties, they don't bark anymore. I don't know what else to do. I mean, I still feel I'm unfairly being targeted with this. Especially the way that the rest of the neighborhood dogs are completely barking and nobody says a word about them. He doesn't say a word about any of them but mine.
It's my understanding if even if they have video, that would be able, the officer would be able to use those if they come out.
He could. I mean, I'm just tired. The police officers have a better job to do than being out there once every 6, 7, 8 months waiting on my dogs to bark. They do. I mean, it's just the way it is. I mean, I don't know what else to say about it.
Detective Koenig, what do you want to do with the videos? Because you guys are you enforce the barking dog, whether our trustees watch or not. And then that's number 1. Number 2, just want to clarify the intent for the board. Is the intent for the board to watch the videos, or did you want to?
I want to show them that my dogs not. This whole ordinance was changed because of my dogs.
What ordinance?
One of barking dogs. Mr. and Mrs. King came in there and said my dogs bark 24/7, 365 days a year. You have a sleep disorder. You get no sleep. I raise puppies year round. Puppies year round, and I don't. I brought
The
that
kennel
last time.
ordinance is what he's referring to.
Oh, you're talking about the kennel
The
one.
kennel in
Yeah,
the residential
kennel.
neighborhood.
And I have a kennel license. I pay the state my state taxes. I raise 1 litter of puppies a year to help pay for my shows that I go to. Everything. And I believe I was unjustly targeted with this. I mean, it was changed, and all of a sudden I'm back to being square one, even though I've got hundreds of dollars in collars. So the dogs don't bark. And they're electronic collars that I don't even have to beat them. They got sensors on them. And I brought them in last time to show you. They just don't. I believe, in all honesty, I did not even state I had my license before I came here. I got booted out of another place. I did not. I followed every guideline here to them and for them to have a kennel license, raise 1 litter of puppies a year.
I understand that, but we did not change. I mean, that may have been, a reason, but we received several complaints a year from other areas of the township for the same thing. We're not going to make an ordinance just for one particular situation. I mean, it's going to take multiple situations for us to do something that's going to impose something on the entire
I wasn't told you that last time, sir.
That was one of the ones that we got.
Yeah, it was me.
Okay,
Because none of the other people, these police officers, if they came out every time a dog barked for that long, you guys have hired
But I'm telling you, but over the past year or so, we've gotten other complaints for other areas of the township for the same thing.
Right.
So we put this in place not just to address your individual situation, but to address several different situations. this was one of the situations that we used as, as a reason to put it, but there were several other, situations that occurred. It wasn't just yours, the reason why we put this in place. My recommendation to you is if your neighbor's dogs are barking,
You waste the police officer's time, sir.
it is a waste of the police officer's
Yes, it
time.
is.
I have dogs. My neighbors all have dogs. Sometimes they bark, sometimes they don't. That doesn't bother me, but to some people it does. And I can't speak for the people that are calling. And the reason why we have that ordinance in place, the barking dog ordinance, is because there are people out there that the continuous barking will disturb. And that's so they can enjoy the peace of their own home also. I commend you for coming into this meeting and saying what you did at the beginning of the meeting, as such that you take the officer's word for it, because I would find it hard to believe that the officer would issue a citation without seeing the dog actually bark. But with that said, going forward, the only thing that you need to make sure is if you see your dog don't bark, you shouldn't have anything to worry about, even if the police are called.
Sir, it was a police report where he actually called on me, and he came out and it was his own dog barking. And that was also confirmed, one of the police reports. They had come knocking on my door at 12:30, saying my dog was barking, and I confirmed it was his dog that was barking. He didn't even know it was his own. So yeah, it's not always my dog that's barking. Sometimes it's a neighbor.
I believe there's other dogs barking, I truly do.
No, I mean when I get in trouble, sometimes it's up the street, though, and he said, the detective even said, I didn't get in trouble for it, nothing was written up. That's true, nothing was written up.
Yeah,
If
if the officer didn't see your dog barking, he was not going to issue a
Right.
citation.
I still got woke up by 12:30 by a false report.
Now,
There's only so much we can
there's only so much we can do about that. I mean, the only thing, we can't get involved in telling somebody they can't pick up.
Oh, no, I just believe that was changed for a reason, and
But it sounds like.
Sugar Bush was another reason.
Big reason because of.
I think we can move to.
there's a boarding kennel right down the south of him that never gets in trouble. And they have 15 to 20 dogs sometimes. And actually, the detective I had, or the deputy I had out there, I swear about them, he said they are protected. So,
They were grandfathered in.
Well, let's, with this regard to this particular situation, if what you're telling me is that the citation you were issued isn't being contested, really all we have to talk about is what happens now.
I'm trying to get some of this reversed on certain areas.
Okay.
That's what I'm trying to do, to show that my dogs ain't barking. I don't want the next fine to be $300.
But I think what we can all agree on is, after you've talked with the detective, that A, the detectives in the sheriff's department are aware of your side of the story,
Right.
which to this point hasn't been told. And B, they're going to make sure if they go out to your property, then, and there's a complaint of incessant barking by a dog, it's going to be your dogs, or you're not getting a citation.
Okay.
I mean, that I can tell you will happen.
Okay.
So, if
We can't
you've
tell
gone
someone.
all the steps to get the barking collars and to do all that stuff, you shouldn't have a problem.
I shouldn't.
And
But I do.
so, and I understand you a neighborhood problem,
Yeah.
and that's something we can't make people be good neighbors, one way or the other. But we have these things in place, and I can assure you that with our detectives, they're going to be aware of the whole story before they even get out there.
Okay.
That's about as good as we can do.
All right. But I do agree with you, our deputies have better things to do. than-
Yes, they do. Especially if it's once every 6 to 9 months, I get in trouble, cost me hundreds of dollars. I think sorry, I think that's ridiculous.
I agree with you.
Okay.
I have a question on that.
Please give your name and address.
My name is Christy Rozier, same address, 6228. My question, I guess, to you is, how are some places grandfathered in when we had our kennels licensed way before any of this changed? How can one kennel be grandfathered in and they're exempt from it and another's not?
That's my understanding, because that kennel goes back, and it dates well beyond the township having zoning in place.
But when I did talk to them, they don't even have a
They
kennel
don't have a
license.
kennels license. They
Who
told
are we
us.
talking about?
We don't know. There's no
Not
name.
Sugar Bush.
They have it all
We're
privacy
talking
fenced in.
about
Where's the location?
on Melody Road as
Melody
well.
Road.
There's a kennel.
I can show you the aerial
Mr.
if you want.
King
I know where it's at.
is right in the middle, and
And I was actually told they
they're
were protected.
grandfathered in,
Have we gotten complaints about them?
That's the first time I've heard anything.
I've not heard any complaints about them.
They said the deputy actually told me they were protected. And I actually told him last time I talked to them, they don't even have a kennel license. He said they don't. I said, you actually told me they did. Because I complained about them twice when you got about my house.
All I can tell you is I'm not aware of any complaints with regard to that property.
Okay. Yeah, that's
So,
who I thought
that,
you
you know, it's
meant.
complaint driven, as you know, as you're
But
learning.
if they're protected.
I don't know anything about that over there.
I mean, if they're all just like me, nothing would have been complained on.
Right.
Because they couldn't do anything to me.
Yeah.
Before.
it's
I understand what
that
you're
you were
saying.
talking about
Well,
that
the thing
kennel.
about it, we go back and look, if there's a complaint, and they predate our zoning like the other one would, they would be exempted. If they don't, they would fall under the same requirement you would have to follow.
Okay.
So that's, but this is the first time I'm hearing of this one.
Okay.
Well, even the neighbors have told us that they've turned them in several times.
I've been here for 20 years, and this is the first time I've learned of this one.
One of the people signed mine says, not your dog, it's the boarding kennel.
But I've never heard of this one before.
Yeah,
I don't think they either one.
I can't say I have.
But if a complaint comes, they'll look into it. Okay. Anybody have any other concerns, questions? Okay, with that, we'll close public speaks. We'll go to the approval of minutes of August 27, 2013.
So move.
We'll second those. Hearing none, roll call, please.
Mr. Geovasis?
Yes.
Mr. Haas?
Yes.
Mr. Lina?
Yes. There is a need for an executive session. Be hereby resolved by the Plain Township Board of Trustees, Stark County, Ohio, to adjourn to executive session at 6:47 p.m. for this regular meeting of September 10th, 2013, as authorized under Ohio Revised Code 121.22G for the purpose and consideration of 3, a conference with the law director or other retained counsel concerning pending or imminent court action. Discussion. Hearing none, roll call please.
Mr. Lina?
Yes.
Mr. Haas?
Yes.
Mr. Geovasis?
Yes.